Yes, welcome to the No State Project live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. Glad to be with you here for what is it? Well, people start filing in. It is August 8th. Wow. August 8th. August 8th, 2020. And a lot of stuff to cover today. Maybe we'll get some calls. We'll see. We haven't been doing too well. Not doing too well in the numbers. Maybe people aren't able to. They're not getting notifications. And just so everybody knows, I don't send the notifications out myself. If that was the case, they would probably never go out. But a couple things here on. I got some prep that I did. And I appreciate those tuning in still to the show. Greetings from the UK. Well, cheers, mate. What's up? Wow, what is not going on right now? If you want to, I put in the show notes, of course. That much I did remember. Frank Rizzo 3 on Skype. Instant message me first, and I'll bring you up on there. But I should have that there. Yes, I do have the mixer muted, so someone just calls in. Not really that big a deal because nobody will hear it. So well, hopefully the callers when we did it on Skype last week, the tech issue wasn't there. But a couple of things to get to. I am no longer going to be doing a separate podcast of I will not be updating markstevens.net. I just don't have enough support to continue the website, and I can't afford. I can't afford to do the regular caller line. So, but hey, the Skype, yeah, it works. It works just fine. No need to pay for that. How long the website will be up? If you're one of those who contacted me about migrating markstevens.net to another host, well, maybe the same host, but you're able to host it without me paying for it, contact me you already know the email address. Well, for now, it's still markstevens@mail.com. Not Gmail, but markstevens@mail.com. The whole thing about, and I know what this is with, it's almost like the saying, a day late and a dollar short is like the theme of my adult life. But I recently, for the last few weeks, here and there, not a lot, they are still people who are familiar with the work that with the show, but are completely unaware that I was attacked by the bar. And this is August now. And so this happened back in February. So I did take the store down. I was already out of business. You got, no one is beating down my door to buy stuff from me. That's not, but people they need help, or, they've already bought things a year, one was like almost 2 years ago. They need the instructions and whatnot. And they're like, I can't find the store. The store was pulled down. Now, I didn't put an announcement on the website. I really don't have time to get into the weeds and update and do all that. So I'll say it again on the show. There is no more store. So that's one less thing for the trolls to complain about. Oh, they're asking for donations. I'm completely dead freaking broke, and I am not asking for donations. So the store is not coming back. The book is no longer available as a paperback. Neither one of the books, in fact, Adventures, I haven't even made that available. That hasn't been available through me for a number of years. But Government Indicted, no longer available as a paperback. There are PDFs, ebooks available. Just like all my material is already online for free with the instructions. I've actually done consults with people who got the motion, they got the material off the internet for free and did a consult, which is cool. Which was really cool. Again, I have no problem with people copying stuff. Go ahead. But if you want the material, and I'm not suggesting that you use it in court, but if you just want it for education, you're curious, the instructions and the motions are all online. Somebody already did that years ago. So you just got to go and do a quick search and find it. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm sure that more people were getting it for free than got it from me. So that's kind of a testament to something like that and all the tech issues that we've had on the show. So the idea that I'm a shill for the globalists doesn't hold any water. I don't think so. I don't think it does anyway. So what the hell do I know? I'm just some schmuck from Long Island, you know? But I do like to look at things rationally. I do like to look at the evidence. I want that the logic is sound. I do my best to live an ethical life. That I think ethics matter. Live honestly, injure no one, give every man his due. There's no money in that apparently. You see these so-called self-proclaimed anarchists that are wealthy and shame people because all they do is donate $1 and actually go on a 1-hour screed screaming and ranting and just frothing at the mouth because someone had the audacity to support them because $1 is just not it's too beneath him, and that the entire world owes it would be back 2,000 years. The highest reaches of the human mind and intellect would have been denied to the world. They're rolling in cash. They don't have any problems. They're filthy, stinking rich because people send them money. And I think part of it has to do with the intrigue. I've never spun tales of intrigue and it's the Jews. And the Jews, they're coming to get you. I don't do that. I look at the facts, look at the evidence, look at the logic. So now that I got the whole thing that there is no store at markstevens.net, and if you like the material that's on markstevens.net, the videos aren't going anywhere. The YouTube channel is not going to, I think is safe. But if you like the articles and you like a lot of the documents that are attached to the articles, those you're going to have to back up. And just in case I can't, it's because I can't afford the website anymore, somebody just should back it up if I can't get it migrated. So I want to address a couple of logical fallacies. And I don't want to be like that one. And please, I don't even want to mention the name. Rob Smith, he's not related to the Rothschilds. Yeah, I can't even afford a caller line. And I'm related to the Rothschilds, Now, I'm not, I actually learned it. I don't know it in Sicilian. I probably should learn that. But the attitude that I get from people that are showing the hate, the attitude, and I can't say it in English, and I give myself a pass by saying it in Sicilian and Italian, and it's the attitude of F you, I got mine. So in Italian would be "Fanculo mio." I don't subscribe to that. I can't wrap my head around how somebody could be "Fanculo io mio." That's just it. It's not me. And I had someone call the show and so I think some of these comments that I get are from people like that, people who condemn me and my work now because I don't go with the global conspiracy from QAnon. I don't parrot that conspiracy theory that it's to reset the economy, which is a QAnon conspiracy theory. So somebody attacks, it makes a generalization because some of the audience believes a certain way that discredits all my work. Now we know that we had an extreme hardcore racist who wound up murdering an innocent person, shooting at innocent people, and offing himself. And we know that there was a lawyer that tried to connect my work with someone like that just because they happen to listen to the show and even call in. And that just because we had certain things that we agree to must mean, oh, you agree to all of it. No. So just because there are parts of the audience that are very vocal that think that putting a mask on is to get you used to being a Muslim because there's a conspiracy theory that they're trying to bring about Sharia law and create an Islamo-fascist state. I don't know if they're saying fascist. That just from the George Bush years, you can kind of have a flashback. Islamo-fascism. It's like Sean Hannity was getting paid for every time he used the phrase Islamo-fascism. What is Christian fascism, or Christian painted fascism, like what we're seeing right now? Is that any better? So it's just that there's the idea that wearing the mask is to get you used to an Islamic state. Like, men don't wear a mask in Islamic states. It's for women. Not all of them, and not all women wear masks in Islamic states anyway. So just because some people believe those things is absolutely no reflection on my work. I mean, so it's just a gross generalization. And you could talk for hours about that. It's all about control. Well, let me tell for another part of this conspiracy theory. Give a little bit of a personal story, a personal anecdote. I promise it's not going to be too long, and I'm going to tie it in to this whole QAnon type conspiracy theory. And just for those who are still going to do, just like on the last show, I do not support government violence in forcing people to use a mask. And I don't agree with using force to vaccinate. You're going to go ahead. There's always going to be somebody who will see. I get people doing it as a joke. But there'll always be those serious people that are going to still go ahead and say, what kind of an anarchist is for government enforced and compulsory vaccination? I'm not for compulsory. So to tie into this part of the conspiracy theory, everyone who listens to the show knows that I have a daughter with Down syndrome who is the light of our lives. Mia ragazza, I mean, she's, just nostra bambina. She is our world. Wonderful, wonderful child. But when she was in utero, before, tests were done, and the initial test, I can't remember exactly what it was. So they wanted us to do another one called an amniocentesis, which like any medical procedure, the amniocentesis, like a vaccination, like surgery, like medication, even in the most positive circumstances, carries with it a risk. So we did the amniocentesis. Now, they were able to do things with ultrasound even 20 years ago that they're able to give the circumference, let's say in this case, the circumference of the child or the fetus's skull. And the doctor, the neonatologist or whatever they had, I know they just wanted our money. I know all doctors are fake. If you're the ones who think that all the doctors are fake, please just tune out. So the doctor was saying given the circumference of the fetus's skull, and I again, this was all new to me. He says, if I was a betting man, I would say that this is a false positive for Down syndrome. But they were wrong. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We love our child. Nostra bambina, Nostra, she's wonderful. Because they have in medical tests, because nothing is infallible. Nothing is infallible. Because I've even spoken to people. I knew somebody years ago, around the same time their daughter was born, and they got a false positive. They thought our bambino was a false positive. You could have a false negative. The point is that in medical tests, you have false positives, you have false negatives. It's just it's just the way things work. Nothing is infallible. So somebody goes and posts this thing. This is the connection that I was promising all you guys. There's a conspiracy theory in that because there are false positives and even false negatives, that equals global conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. It was a plandemic. They planned it. Well, hell, how could you possibly predict it if you weren't planning it? I did a show about that, how ridiculous that is to think that just because you predicted something that is always occurring to some degree historically. So the idea that if you have, and there are false positives, there are false negatives, does that equal global conspiracy? I don't think so. I don't see it. This is what we call a false cause. Let's see what we got here. If you go to the baloney detector that Carl Sagan wrote about, it's an argument from adverse consequences. An example is a God meting out punishment and reward must exist because if he didn't, society would be much more lawless and dangerous. Or the defendant is a widely publicized murder trial. In a widely publicized murder trial, must be guilty. Otherwise, it's the idea that my grandmother lived until she was. I'll use my own. I use mia nonna, because my Irish grandmother drank and smoked, and she died at 92. It must have been, her longevity must be attributed to smoking and drinking. Mia Siciliano nonna, she never drank or smoked. She lived to the same age. So her abstaining, for her not having smoking, that's why she lived until she was in her early 90s. It's a false cause. And this thing that a false positive, even if there's a lot of them, that is somehow evidence of a global conspiracy. Holy crap, the lack of, I can't even wrap my mind around that. And the idea of QAnon, it just reeks of, it started from 4chan. Can anybody really take this seriously? That Donald Trump is passing clues, that he's been working on exposing the deep state and Epstein, that he's giving clues, that even though Ghislaine Maxwell, who has been credibly accused of child trafficking and rape, that he's just giving clues to the public that he's gonna get the pedophile child sex ring. He's gonna get. So that's, see, it was a clue when he says, "I wish her well. I wish her well." The guy who gave a cabinet position to Alexander Acosta, who is the U.S. attorney who signed off illegally on a sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein to do no hard prison time, to spend more time out of prison than he did in during those 18 months. Gave him a job, a promotion. He was a cabinet level. He's at the Commerce Department. Knowing what Epstein is accused of, who already he distanced himself, knows Ghislaine well. Knowing what she's accused of, he wishes her well. But that's just a signal. That's a signal that he's taking them all down. He's not working with them. He's working against them. He's working against them. And you have a situation where Bill Barr, who has many times shown what a hack and a political shill he is, who openly and notoriously misled the entire public on what the Mueller report found, who is the man in charge of the prison system. He is the boss. And instead of QAnon focusing their wrath and their conspiracy theories, instead of focusing on the guy who is in charge, Clinton, and that the Clintons are so powerful, they were able to suicide Jeffrey Epstein. And they're so powerful that Bill Barr can't charge him with murder. It is astounding to me, and why I can't spend. I'm not updating the website because it's astounding to me that when you spend so many years discussing critical analysis, that there are still a vocal part of the audience. It's one thing about sovereign citizen stuff. But QAnon? Thinking that there's a global conspiracy to reset the economy, something that Alex Jones has been screaming from the rooftops since the late 90s, that every single year was going to be the collapse of the dollar. Every year since at least 1999, Alex Jones and others like him have been preaching that the world is coming, that the globalists are destroying the middle class. They want to bring the whole Georgia Guidestone thing. They're going to reset the economy. That's QAnon stuff. And what is the basis of QAnon? It's a prank that started on 4chan. The idea that Trump is somehow a genius. Good Lord, people. He doesn't even know how to say Yosemite. Yeah, QAnon is a conspiracy theory detailing a supposed secret plot by an alleged deep state against U.S. President Donald Trump and his supporters. The theory began with an October 2017 post on the anonymous image board 4chan by someone using the name Q, who is presumably an American individual initially, but probably later became a group of people claiming to have access to classified information involving the Trump administration and its opponent in the United States. The idea, that's where you get the memes about the 4D chess. It's all to bring down the deep state, all of it, and everything. It really is disheartening that, and maybe they're just, and look, I know it's a very small but vocal minority that do it, and maybe they're just that, it's just people pranking and just trying to make my audience what's left will, look bad. I don't know. It's really disheartening. Mark Stevens has lost the plot. Why concern yourself with the opinions of idiots? I talk about it because I'm hoping that, just like with all the other things I've spoken about all these years, that some people will give some thought to this and investigate, not take my word for it, but investigate. I've talked about logical fallacies, the idea that literally everything in the mainstream media, literally every single thing that comes from the mainstream media is fake, that the only truth comes from Donald Trump's Twitter. That's the only time you get truth. And that people, and so it irks me that people are, are being misled. So that's why I talk about it. I talk about it because maybe we'll save some people some time. We'll save them. Maybe it'll even save a relationship, for heaven's sakes. People have gotten divorced because of this stuff. It's just like with the impeached president. People support him for one reason. It is a blinding, white hot hatred of Democrats. That's it. That's it. There's no logic. There's no evidence. They hate Democrats so deeply and so completely that they'll wear shirts better Russian than a Democrat. It's that's why I talk about that. Just like talking about anarchy and ethics, so that there are less people that would be misled. That's why. To give the tools so that people can make better informed decisions, because it helps all of us. Taking, as we can see in other places in Europe, New Zealand, and I know there are other factors, but taking common sense approaches to a pandemic, a deadly virus that's going around, it saves people's lives. It saves people's lives. So we get to this report that came out. And so people, and I'm not even going to address this nonsense that if you don't see a dead body, there are actually pictures and videos of box trucks, being filled with dead bodies at hospitals. Not every hospital, of course not. And just because it depends on where the hospital is. You've got hotspots. You've got places in Arizona that are being afflicted a hell of a lot more than places in New York, because New York took steps and they've got it under control. You can't be like, Trump pointing to parts of the map where they don't have that many cases, because there's not anyone living there. The population density is very small. There's not much of a population. So you can't compare Wyoming to Phoenix. Got to go apples to apples. Comparing Wyoming, like say Evansville, Wyoming, or Jackson Hole. Well, maybe Jackson Hole's not a good, but something like Evansville, Wyoming, you cannot compare that and the rate of transmission to Los Angeles or Phoenix. So the CDC, and I can hear it now. Oh, well, how can an anarchist? CDC data shows 207,000 excess deaths during the coronavirus pandemic, far eclipsing the 160 reported confirmed death count. So what they can do, and again, if you're the one who thinks that literally every single statistic from a government agency is fake, I think that's fallacious thinking, because you can go to it's private sources too from hospitals, see, because they compare information that's given to them by hospitals. So what they can show is that for the months we've been in this pandemic, compared to previous years average, let's say 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016. Oh, let me do something that these QAnon people love and that their president can't do. 100, 93. You get the point. So for those who think that there aren't any deaths, and it is reported that there in the United States 160 some odd thousand deaths. The CDC is showing that the trend right now, and it shows right now there are 207,000 more deaths in this period of time than the same period last year, the year before, and the year before, and the year before that. So you've got your trend for the average number of deaths for years up until, let's say, April. And all of a sudden, you're getting 207,000 more deaths in this. So something's going on. But people still want to say, yeah, I know it's not just like autism, there is a spectrum to the conspiracy theories. Some are saying it's literally all fake. There is no virus. It's all fake. There are even some people that have commented that viruses themselves are not real. I don't know if they're trolling or if they're serious, that you can't prove a virus even exists. This is the level. Santana Bonacci, we don't live in fear like you do, Mark. It's not fear. That is a straw man kind of position. It's not out of fear. I take an ethical position on that. It's a safety thing. I'm not going to live in fear. Well, do you put a seat? It's this guy, Santana. Do you put a seatbelt? Do you take any reasonable precautions to stay alive? Any? Because if you take any reasonable circumstances, if you do anything to sustain and protect your own well-being, any half idiot can then accuse you, well, I'm not going to live in fear like you. Oh, you eat several times a day? You drink water? I'm not going to live in fear like you, Santana. Eating well, working out, taking care of yourself, taking reasonable steps to protect yourself and others. It's not living in fear. Nice straw man. Well, I'm not going to live in fear. I don't put a seatbelt on because I'm in fear or I'm cowering to the government. I put the seatbelt on to protect me and others because there is an inherent risk going and driving. James Ventura saying, including forced medication, Mark. I could say it every single moment of the show. I'm still going to get asked that. Once again, for those watching, no, I am not for the use of initiating the use of force. Now, we can have an ethical discussion on what, in which I've tried to do. No one's called, not too many people have called in about that. That self-defensive force is morally justified. I'm still not saying that I'm advocating using the guns of government to force people to use masks and to get vaccinations. But somebody, see, this, I was all for and I support when initially they made the suggestion and said, look, we're in the midst at the beginning of a potential global pandemic. And these are the steps that we should take. I'm talking about not from government. I'm talking from doctors, from scientists. And wearing a mask, not being, so close to people, being at least 6 feet apart, and self-isolation, not going out unless it's essential, limiting our contact. That's what I supported. That's what I still support. Not any kind of government overreach and violence. But there's still, see, this is why it's going to be so easy for me to just walk away from the show when the time comes. It's really frustrating that no matter how many times I say I'm not for mandatory, compulsory, forced vaccinations, somebody still is going to accuse or question it. At a certain point in time, you got to accept look, if you don't believe me, fine, but stop asking me about it. William Rand, Juan Galt is an anarchist. You guys should work together, get further as a team. That I'm not interested in working with him or anybody else. I'm not interested in I still have something I want to talk about. Somebody had made the comment on a show a month or two ago about expanding and building the show. The sunk cost fallacy. Okay. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I know. I spent years trying to build this show. Years. No matter what I did, it didn't matter. I could follow every suggestion you gave. I can look at things and try to market better and do nothing. It didn't matter that I got 5,000 new subs. Thanks, Brian. It didn't matter that I got 5,000 subs over the course of a couple of weeks. It had no impact whatsoever on the number of views the show got. Zero. The show averages about 1,000 views a show after 10 years, and it wasn't going to change. So I have stopped trying to get a broader show. What people want to hear are conspiracy theories. When it comes to things political, they want conspiracy theory. They want stuff of intrigue. I'm talking about real world, real life things that could be proven. We were helping people in court. We were exposing, and I was exposing government as the criminal organization that it is. Yes, it's got a very, very good public relations scheme keeping it in place. There is no, Rob is saying, what's the number to call in? I don't Skype. Then you can't join the show. I can't afford the caller line anymore. No one is supporting the show. There's 2 people left. And I do appreciate the support, but there's 2 people left that support the show. And I can't afford to keep going and doing and paying for this stuff. I even forgot where I was going because I was looking at that. But getting so I was showing people how to question effectively and destroy an argument, and how you can expose government as just as just men and women forcing communities to give the money, that they are a criminal organization. And if you look, 2 people, and even I would say, this is what I would do to prep for court. If, so you can raise these issues in court, you can go in court and you can defend yourself. I'm not telling people to do it now as far as court, but going to city council meetings, yeah, I can still advocate that because it makes it easier to then confront people elsewhere, like court or an administrative hearing. 2 people in 10 years actually did it. 2. So at a certain point, when you realize people just want to hear about traffic tickets and doing the same show, and after so many years that the numbers just don't change, you stop. And I had to stop trying to, so that's why I used to put graphics. I would do the live feed. I would have my camera, my other camera over here. I'd have the webcam right here. All right. And then I have my good camera. And so I would take my good audio, I would sync it to my good video, and I would spend 3 to 4 hours the next day putting the graphics in, talking about the Constitution, due process and denial of cross-examination, all the things that I was talking about, I put graphics in so it would make for what I thought a better video. And I would get 200 views. So so I stopped doing, doing 3 hours worth of work for 200 people to view the video for 7 or 8 minutes, because you can see, just wasn't a good use of the time. So I stopped doing it. And so I just did the show where we took calls and we helped record. But come time for the pandemic, and I was out of business. And the show just got to be, because of time, it was easier. I didn't have to prep. I would just, somebody would send me some things and I would just take calls. So the show was being that the show was a continuation of really what I did during the week. When the pandemic started, I wasn't doing that anymore. Then I got attacked by the bar. So I was already out of business. I got attacked by the bar. So I was already moving on to start another business, one that will actually pay. And so I'm not living on the edge, because I tell you right now, poverty will, the stress and anxiety from never having any money. And that's where I was talking about more political stuff from an anarchist standpoint. And honestly, it didn't really affect the numbers of the show that much. So that's what we did. That's what I did. But the level of hate, or the anger and the hateful comments, I was used to getting the hateful comments from the trolls. But when longtime listeners are posting hate and questioning my motives, it's easy to say, Fangul, I'm not doing, but we don't do it anymore. And that's where we are at this point. The show will not go the rest of the year. Well, it won't go into 2021. The show will end most likely before the end of the year. And I think if I was to do another show after that, it would be in a year or two, when all you conspiracy guys who think it's all been planned, it was all done to destroy Trump, or it was all done to reset the economy. I think I could do a video saying, why didn't it happen? But I doubt that. It's not something like that's just, it's not worth the time. But what is worth the time talking about is the idea, unfortunately, still persists. And I think it's just a vocal minority of the people in the United States. They tend to be what we call alt-right. The white supremacist type who, Mark, do you not have a number I can call and I'll pay the fees for it? I can't do that right now. Here's the thing: a day late and a dollar short. I've been here for since 2006 doing the show on and off. I needed the support of the show, and I've been saying for months I cannot afford a caller line. I can't do it now. So it's just not going to be a call right now. So, and I'm almost near the end of the show anyway. If that's something, anyway, the narrative that there is not a difference in treatment between rich and poor, black and white, or brown. You would think this is the Onion still even in business after this past year? because some of these you can't believe. I have never seen a headline where a white family and the entire family was handcuffed and prone on the ground with their hands behind them because the cops were investigating a stolen motorcycle and the family was in a van. It's hard to believe that this is a real headline. Colorado cops, this is lawandcrime.com. It was a mainstream report, but there is viral video from it. Colorado cops mistake black family of 5 in SUV for one stolen motorcycle. And I know there was this picture and video of the children handcuffed, prone on the ground. How many somebody show me where that has happened to a rich white or a middle-class white family. I myself used to have black hair. And I used to live in Gilbert, Arizona when I first moved. This is in the mid-90s. And Gilbert PD stopped me while I was riding a bicycle. And they said that they had gotten a call that a Hispanic male had stolen something. And I give it up. I have brown eyes. I had jet black hair at one point. It was all jet black, just like my eyebrows. I said to him, "Do I look Hispanic to you?" "No, but how could I possibly be a suspect if I don't even remotely resemble somebody who's Hispanic?" Just like these people who think I'm Jewish. What are the people saying I'm Jewish? Are you Gilbert PD? I'm a hook nose. Yeah, and I'm not just Jewish. I'm a hook nose Jew, which I don't get that. So you got to see the video and the pictures of this. This is Aurora, California. Of course, the kids are traumatized. Numerous police officers arrived at the scene as a black family of 5 in a SUV was stopped, handcuffed, detained at gunpoint on the ground in a shopping center parking lot on Sunday because they were allegedly mistaken for a stolen motorcycle from out of state. All you alt-right guys, well, more blacks are killed by blacks, and it fit 17% statistics. Once again, a black family of 5, they were children. At least one was under the age of, looks like about 5. Of course, they were traumatized and they were upset. It's just, yeah. My whole family of kids. They got kids out of the car. Wow. This is someone who filmed, who filmed it. Was one of the ones that filmed it. They got kids out of the car. Wow. They got a whole family pulled out. This is horrible. What the F is going on? They got a baby girl on the floor. They handcuffed a little girl. It's okay because she's black. She's not white and she's not rich. So it's okay. So someone's saying, it's like they don't care. Because they don't. They don't give a damn. And yeah, and I get that there's a power dynamic. But if somebody can do a Google search or DuckDuckGo, and you can find where a white family was held at gunpoint and handcuffed Even the children, as young as like 4 or 5, are handcuffed because they were suspected of stealing a motorcycle while driving an SUV. Man, I like to see it. I like to see it. I like your delusions talk better than your racism talk. Well, racism is a real thing. I mean, just recently, in the last month or so, a black man was held against his will, and white men were screaming to get a rope. So, yeah, there wasn't there a politician recently using the N-word and still using it? I'm glad you like the delusions talk, which unfortunate is almost nothing came of it. The fact that I not only two people in all those years, 10 years, 2 people have ever publicly confronted a politician or, or city council in that manner. 2 people. I know when to lick my wounds and move on. Well, apparently not, but I eventually did learn that. So. Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to end the show there. That's pretty much enough of my ranting. I guess I'll be accused of that. I could do the entire show in this manner and still have people accuse me of ranting and screaming. So why bother? Anyhow, I appreciate everyone who did tune in today. I know we weren't breaking any records, but I do appreciate it. And I will be live next week. We'll be live for the foreseeable future. And if you would like to join me on the show, the only way that we are going to be able to accomplish that is through Skype, because Skype doesn't cost any money. Again, I'm not asking for anyone to send me money. So you don't have to send me money so that you can talk to me next week. All you got to do is use Skype. So let me make that perfectly clear again. I don't want any money to do a phone call, to take phone calls on the show. So let's make that clear. I'm not asking for money, but I do appreciate those who have tuned in and who will listen to the recording, because I have to put this on the website. I am not going to be updating the website anymore. No more articles. I won't be posting these videos, and I will not be posting the audio. If you want back everything up, if you are one of those who did mention that you would host the site for free, you're going to have to contact me again, and we can work on that and getting that, because I would prefer to keep I'd prefer to keep the website up, even if I'm completely trashed by most on the forum. Anyway, I'll be appreciate you tuning in. I'll be live next week, and so till then, salud.